The purpose of this project was for each member of our group to have the unique experience of what it would be like to have a hearing loss. Mackenzie interviewed Larry Umberger, who is deaf, Caitlin wore an earplug for a day, and Meredith and Lauren wore a hearing aid for a day. Each of these assignments helped our group gain perspective on the struggles that someone with a hearing loss endures daily. After finishing this project, we now have a deeper appreciation for their perseverance and willingness to constantly adapt to different situations.
Okay, so this is Lauren wearing her hearing aid for the first time. How does it feel?
Well, definitely conscious of having something in my ear. I can't figure out if I should talk loudly or quieter than I think I'm supposed to. So it's a little uncomfortable.
All right.
So here we go.
Okay.
So I wore the earplug. I hated having something in my ear. It felt like there was like a wall almost where like no sound was coming in whatsoever. It was definitely one-sided.
Okay, this is Meredith wearing her hearing aid for the first time.
This is what it looks like. It's really little.
Okay.
So, anyways, it goes in the left ear, and you just stick it in. Oh, wrong way. Awkward. There we go. Just like that.
Okay, see? All right, that looks good. Does it feel weird?
Yeah, it feels like I can't hear on this side, and like it's really full. I don't know. It feels bad.
Okay. All right, so we are going to go to dinner, so we will see what it is like at dinner. Sorry, but it's just for a project.
It was very difficult because there was all this background noise. I couldn't hear. The waiter was talking on this side of me, and that's where the earplug was. Kept having to ask him to repeat himself, to speak up. Kept having to rely on reading his lips.
I don't know. What were you saying? Okay, what were you saying that I should do with the waiter? I can't remember. What? I'm so weird. It's like coming out of my ear. It's so weird. Also, hearing aid is falling out. Yeah, it's like feels like it's coming out. And yeah, it sounds super loud. I mean, it's still extra loud. Can you hear? Can you hear? No, not really. This is gonna be such a fun dinner. Nobody can hear except Mackenzie, and it's really loud.
Okay, so my part in this project was a little bit different than everyone else's. I didn't have to wear a hearing aid or earplugs, and I also went to dinner with them, and that was a little bit frustrating for me because I kept having to repeat myself, and I had to sort of adjust my behavior. I had to face them whenever I was talking to them, and you know, we had to explain to the waiter that they had a hearing loss, and we had to ask him to speak up, which is just another task that you have to do as someone with a hearing loss that we didn't think of before.
Whenever I was exercising, it was weird because like jumping around, it felt like it was falling out, and especially whenever you get sweaty, it starts moving. And so I kept like touching it and making sure it wasn't gonna fall out or something.
it hard to work out in a hearing aid?
It's just getting sweaty, so it just keeps falling out.
Yeah.
It's really awkward. Oh, that is so uncomfortable.
Do you hate it?
Yes. Yeah, I can barely hear. It's like the worst thing ever.
Would you wear one if you had to?
If I had to, if it would help my hearing, yeah, but not for fun again. That's for sure.
When I wore it during class, it was very hard to pay attention to the teacher because you couldn't hear, you could only hear out of one ear, so I had to pay attention a lot harder. And definitely missed half of the lesson because no idea what was being said because I couldn't hear half of it.
Hi, how does it feel?
It's a little uncomfortable. I feel like I'm kind of walking in a tunnel.
So after getting to interview Larry, I realized the impact that speech therapy had on him. He shared with me that he did not have a good experience and that his first few speech pathologists did not know sign language. And so I realized that if this was a group of people that I wanted to work with, it was going to be really important for me to continue bettering my skills with sign. One interesting thing he told me was that until he was 12 or 13, he had never met a deaf adult. He thought that if he worked hard enough in therapy, he would one day become hearing and be able to use his speech. When he met this deaf man, he realized that he would stay deaf for the rest of his life. But he also realized that speech wasn't that important, and as long as he had sign language to communicate with, he felt he could be successful. Overall, for me, getting to interview Larry was a really great opportunity. We spend so much time learning about speech and the way to administer therapy to hearing kids that sometimes you forget that this can also apply to a different population, a population that needs us to approach this differently. And it's just good to be reminded that we need to keep an open mind and we really need to respect everyone's opinions and values.
Another thing that I noticed is when people would look at me, I felt like I needed to explain to them or defend what I was doing or why I had a hearing aid in my ear. So I'm assuming that people with hearing aids, especially when they first get them, it's just super vulnerable, or you feel this need to either hide or explain. So it's been harder to have my hair in a ponytail. I kind of wanted to put it down because honestly I feel like people wouldn't be able to see it if I had my hair over it.
I didn't feel like anybody looked at me because this is, it's skin colored and it's so small it wasn't distracting. Only one girl noticed, but she sits next to me in class and she was telling me that she had a friend in high school who wore hearing aids, and so that's why she noticed. But other than that, nobody asked me about it.
Whenever I was driving, I noticed it just kind of scared me because couldn't really hear. It was almost like a blind spot, but for hearing.
Overall, I think it was a good experience to see how different it is to have a little thing you have to stick in your ear every day, and it's not optional and you have to wear it all the time.
I don't know. That was there whenever I got here. Guess what?
What?
We made a 100 on our oral rehab project.
Shut up.
Everybody can talk here.
Really?